everybody. So today I want to talk about something near and dear to my heart, and that's filmmaking, but from another perspective. You see, I think that Top Gun Maverick is probably going to go down as one of the best films ever made, and I'll tell you why. Look, there are great films out there. There's no getting around it. Films, there's been a lot of stuff, but I want to ask you a question, and I want you to think about it for a moment, and then try to, just come up with an answer. When was the last time you saw a movie that you were excited about? Like tentpole film, summer blockbuster, where you're like, I want to get tickets, I want to get them early, and I want to go. For me, it's been a long time. I don't remember really the last time since Top Gun Maverick that I really wanted to go to the theater and see something. And then F1, of course, I wanted to see F1. And there's a trend there because it's the same filmmaker. So just ask yourself, when's the last time you saw something that you're like really wanting to see? Because lately I haven't seen anything that's come out that I've been like, I really want to see that. I mean, nothing. The only thing that came close was The Odyssey. But after seeing all the stuff that's going on with that film, I think I'm going to pass. There's just several actors and actresses I just don't care for. That's just me. I'm not trying to bash them, their performances, but I don't like seeing them on screen. They bore me. They take me out of the moment. I've talked in the past about a willful suspension of disbelief. And you have to be able to do that when you go into a film. And if you're going to have a movie about Greeks, but then you populate it with the latest trends of 2020, the 20th century where, with actors just to help fulfill the color band. I find that to be, it's kind of inappropriate. The last film the only film I think I've wanted to see, which has changed, has been The Odyssey. So Christopher Nolan has had a wonderful track record. He just has. He is a solid filmmaker. But it looks like his interpretation of The Odyssey is one that has been kind of genderized, or a modern day take on a feminist version of The Odyssey, and that's not what I grew up with. I read that book in high school, and it was it's pretty bold. It's a pretty bold story, and it doesn't need to be feminized, but it looks like it's being it looks like he went woke with a lot of stuff. So I think I'm going to pass on that film. Plus, there's a couple of actresses that, like, I just, here's an example, Dune 3. I want to see that film, but with as much camera time as I've seen Zendaya, I guess that's her name, Zendaya, have, I'm not interested. There's I'm known to edit things out of films that I don't like so that I can watch them, which makes them palatable. So what I do is I buy the film, and if it's on Blu-ray or if it's on digital, I'll rip a version that I can edit, and then I'll take out certain pieces that I can't stand, that whatever decisions a filmmaker did, I remove it, and then I can then watch it. An example, for Dune 2, I cut almost everything out that I could with Zendaya in it. I took her out. I removed her from the film. And it is a much better experience than seeing someone brood for 2 hours. being so, I can't, that doesn't float for me. I can't do it. Another example, Deadwood. This took a long time because I have the DVD series, and I had to rip it, and then I had to edit out everything that was insignificant parts with Jane Cannery. The whole part about all the actors, and I left some of it in because it does tell part of the story, and I think that Jack plays an important part. But the rest of that stuff, I just edited out, and then I can now watch it in sequence and not struggle. You know what I mean? And I took some of the sex stuff out, and I took out most of the stuff where Bullock's son passes away, because I can't watch that stuff. So anyway, the point I'm making is that I don't know of anything that's coming out that really has blown my skirt up. Nothing that I can see on the horizon. There was something that I saw something yesterday. It made such an impression on me. I can't even remember it. What did I see yesterday? Oh, I saw something that it appealed to me. Well, it doesn't really matter. The point, the purpose of this is just to kind of talk about maybe the framework of what made Maverick so successful, as well as F1. I just ran past a skunk. Oh my God, that was terrible. Woo! Woo! Yeah, gotta get out of here. Ooh, that was nasty. I hope I didn't hit anything. Hope I didn't run over any skunk juices. Oh man. All right, so let me fix this. So, like I said, I haven't seen anything that really it's kind of blown my skirt up where I'm like, oh, I would definitely want to see that. And it's been years. It's been since Maverick. So I saw Maverick in the theater. I saw it in IMAX, which was an experience. It was great. Then I went with a couple of buddies of mine, a group of guys we go, hang out with. We went and saw it. My daughter wanted to go see it, so she and I went, and I think my wife and I went to go see it. And it was just it was something. I haven't gone to the theater like that since I was a kid, and so it was a really interesting experience. And I will say that Warehouse Cinemas was probably the best. With the Dolby Atmos, was really probably the highest quality of here, I'm drifting off. I'm having a moment. All right, I'm trying to stay on topic, but I'm focusing on the road a little bit. So seeing it at the Warehouse in IMAX, I saw it like 4 times in the theater. So to me, there's something to be said about that, where I can look back and say, yeah, and a friend of mine were having a debate, not a debate, we were having a conversation about the film. And he was like, oh, it's the best film ever made. And I was like, not quite. I mean, technically, it's amazing. And the stuff that they captured was truly remarkable. How they did it, the whole, basically how they made the film. You can find that stuff online. It was really remarkable. But, you're looking at, going up against Jaws, The Godfathers, Braveheart, Heat, all those just films that are really amazing. Last of the Mohicans, Dances with Wolves. Those films were iconic. There's some of the list goes on, right? But what I've noticed about Maverick, and maybe this, I thought originally it was because of COVID that they held the film for so long, they had it for so long that they could go back and have thoughts. And usually when you edit, and you want to, like, a film is never finished. It's never a finished product. You always go back and you edit, and you could do that almost forever. It's indefinite. You'll never find the best thing, because once you lock the film and you're like, this is the best it's going to be, you'll have ideas down the road like, damn, I wish we did something different. And then you'll have another idea. Oh, we could have done it this way, or whatever the case might be. An example of that from my history is, a buddy of mine, Israel, we made a film called Despondent. It was based on a short story concept that I'd come up with back in the military days. And we made this film. It ended up being, originally it was like an hour and 10 minutes, but we trimmed the fat. We trimmed a lot of stuff back. It ended up being total, with credits, about 36 minutes. And at the end of the day, once we released it and once we shared it, then it's like, we probably could trim another 10 minutes off this thing, maybe 15, and just really go shorter. And it's hard to do when you've got just so much material that you really, that you'd like, that you feel does drive the story. But at the end of the day, a shorter, better film with more of the good stuff is a better pacing film, a better story. So that said, one of the things that happened recently is that the AI, not to regenerate scenes, but digital cleanup. So when we shot Despondent, we shot it at NTSC. I had bought a Canon XL2. I bought an XL1, then I bought an XL2, which was a shoulder mount camera, and it had interchangeable lenses, and it recorded the DV tape, but it was NTSC like 480 progressive, 720, no, it wasn't 720, it was 480 progressive. So that's just real small, Now I'm recording in 4K right now, just to give you an idea. So back then, HD was the at the time of making the film, 1080, man, 1080p, 24 frames per second was the bomb, or 23976 frame rate. The XL2 did 23976 frame rate with built-in ND filters, but it was only 2 DV tapes. So the quality is not very good. It's old school. But what you can do now is you can take it and put it in something called High Path. I believe it's High Path, or Topaz AI. And what you can do is you can take that 480p footage and you can run it through this AI regeneration, frame restoration or regeneration, and make it truly 4K, 2.5K or 4K. Well, I basically tested a few scenes and I thought, wow, man, this looks really good. And this is a reimagining of Despondent. We had a lot of footage that we did not use. We had a lot of dialogue that we did not use, which, my neck, which basically, we had a lot of dialogue that we didn't use that Israel had read kind of ad hoc to, improvised, and we've got some good material. And so I talked to him, and I ran all the footage, basically all of our raw footage, through this AI engine. It took about a week to do, 2 weeks to do, about a week and a half actually, just running my machine constantly in batches. And the footage has been the raw footage from the original film has now been converted to 4K. So I've been re-editing, and I'm finding all this extra dialogue, and I'm editing it in a completely different sequence of events. And that's what I mean by indefinite. You could do this all the time. You feel like you're never done. So bringing it back to Maverick, I thought, well, these guys had all this extra time, and that's why the film was so well edited. When I talk about well editing, I'm talking about the pacing the timing. They focused slowly on the parts that mattered, and they didn't spend too much time on it. The cuts were very well timed. The emotional pieces. One of my things that one of my brothers had told me when we first saw the trailer was, Jesus, it looks like basically they're going to redo it, and they're going to redo it because we had just, we've been exposed to Star Wars, The Force Awakens, which was a direct copy and paste of the original Star Wars with like little nuances, but it was so stupid. Can I talk about Star Wars for a second? And just talk about how terrible that film was and how much it let me down and how much... Talk about nostalgia, right? Maverick hit all the buttons. Generational buttons, new generation buttons, whatever, Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, I don't care, but, boomers. That movie came out in like 1985, 1986. Saw it in the theater, I think with my girlfriend at the time. And it was a good film. It was life-changing because it kind of made me go in the Army. I mean, I was going to go in the Air Force, but things didn't quite work out. But then I saw some dudes jumping out of an airplane, and I thought, holy shit, that's what I want to do. I was going in for electrical engineering, and a guy showed me a tape of dudes crawling through the mud and, rappelling off buildings, and then, of course, jumping out of planes and helicopters. And I was like, that's all me, man. That's what I want to do. So that's what I did. But it was because of Maverick that I went to talk to a recruiter in the first place. So, that's just the way it is. So that's what it was. And that was the purpose of the film, was to engage local, young minds into recruitment into the Navy. So now that we've established that, Maverick hit on all the generational points. The way that they did the opener, it was a recreation of the first, but it was done differently and in a way that was respectful, but it still gave you the goosebumps. And then Maverick, when he's rolling out on his old Ninja, it just drew you right back in, like, okay, this is cool, man. It's bringing me back some good memories. Brought a little tear to my eye. I mean, it was emotional. So what did they do with Star Wars, The Force Awakens? They just absolutely decimated. When you saw the trailer for The Force Awakens and you hear the something has awakened, and it's the build up, and all of a sudden the Star Wars music kicks in, and it's the Millennium Falcon doing some awesome moves and in and out, and all of a sudden it's like right in front of the camera, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, this is going to be awesome. You knew Harrison Ford was attached. You knew all of the main cast from the original was attached. So you're thinking, that's Harrison Ford flying that thing. The best the Millennium Falcon has ever moved, and it's Harrison Ford. No. What did they do? They made him a smuggler again. What? Okay, they made him a smuggler again. He's not even in half the movie. This girl who has never seen the ship before, has only heard about it because it's about, oh my God, you did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. And then she has all this internal knowledge about how the engine and components work. And it's so back and forth stupid that the one thing that everyone loved about the Millennium Falcon was it was Han Solo's ship, his prized possession, and it somehow got stolen and is in a scrapyard somewhere. And she finds it and she can fly it. And it's like, get out of here, man. It was so stupid. The droid, BB-6, I guess, is running around with Luke's plans, Luke's location, just like R2-D2 in the plans for the Death Star. And then when you look at it side by side, and they're like, no, it's not a recreation of the first film. Yes, it is. Except it was a much worse. It was a terrible version of it. And it's supposed to get better. Filmmakers are supposed to get better in their craft, not worse. And maybe it was a Kathleen Kennedy thing. I don't know. All I know is I was ashamed when I saw that film. I was ashamed. I was upset. And people complained. oh, how can you say it ruined your childhood? There is an element to that. And that's what I mean by all of the things you remembered magical about Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, or A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi. All of those magical things that you grew up with were just flushed down the toilet with this new iteration because it was so poorly done. We could go into so many problems with that, but the loop around, the touch point to this was Maverick did it right. They kept the original in focus. It wasn't dismissed, but they didn't copy it. And what I was saying before is my brother had shared, and he's like, it looks like they're going to redo this the same way they did with the piano playing, and you're like, oh, here we go. That's Goose's son, and he plays the piano, and it's going to be a same thing with a new cast. And it wasn't. It kept the base alive, but it certainly added so much more to it. It kept the historical context alive, but added so much more to it. And of course, the technology has changed so much that, holy crap, man, you were in the cockpit with these guys. It was really, really well done. And of course, you can critique it as well. One of my friends was like, oh, it was Top Gun, the same one as the other one. And no, it's not. No, it really isn't at all. It's a new look on that movie. And so the reason why I think it can be used as a case study is because when you see something so successful, you should mimic it. You should try to achieve the same type of results. So don't be a lazy filmmaker and just do things because they're cool. Like the end of The Mist. The book does not end like the movie does. And then if you haven't seen the movie, I'm going to ruin it for you. So you got 5 seconds. 5, 4, you can come back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the end of The Mist, they're going to drive as long as the gas will take them. They're going to drive through the mist, and it's a very moving scene. They get to this place, and the car runs out of gas. And they look out, and they see all these creatures, and it's like, oh, well, that's it. So there's 5 of them. They have like 4 bullets left. One of the people is his son. So what does he do? He's like, we're gonna off ourselves. So he kills the 2 in the back, kills his son, or kills the 3 in the back, kills his son, and then it doesn't have enough bullets to kill himself. And I thought that was the lamest, cheapest. They fought that whole time to survive through thick and thin, and then they just give up. And you think it's okay to shoot your kid? Like that's the right thing to do? I struggled with that ending. Big time. That's not what happened in the book. I'm not going to go into all the details about that, but it was such a cop-out. But of course, all the academies were like, oh, what a brave way. What a brave way to step out and do something different. Brave? Nah, man, that was a cop-out. That was a literal cop-out. It was cheap, it was low, it was dirty, and I had no respect for that film after that. And it sucked because I liked the film. As a whole, I liked it. It had gaps, it had things that I would have done differently, but it is what it is. But that ending just was not bold. It was not good storytelling. It was terrible. And of course, that's just my take on it. I know a lot of people feel the same way I do. So anyway, for Maverick, to leave it the way they did with the pacing, with the tie-in of the audio, the music, the sound design, all of it was so well put together that the flow was Lady Gaga, I guess, was involved a lot in driving the musical tone of the film. Tom Cruise talks about this specifically, and it's a very excellent point that he's making, is that the musical arcs and then the moments that takes you forward and back into the generational gaps, but keeping it in the present, was just very well done. And then the musical flow was very heartfelt. It was very emotional. It was very real. And so I just think that all of those elements put together, but specifically the editing, and of course the acting was pretty good too. I mean, I thought Glenn Powell was a little over the top, but you know, those are the types of things you can live with. That's where the willful suspension of disbelief, when Tom first enters the fray of the first day of training, when he flies up through the two planes and they're like, holy shit, like it was cool, but you know that's not real, but it's still cool. It's like, okay, I can live with that. It's not so far out that it's just so stupid that I can't deal with it. And then people say, and then some people say, well, it's a fantasy film when you talk about like Star Wars. Well, it's a fantasy film. You're supposed to be able to like extend that. No. There's fantasy, and then there's also great storytelling. You know, some of the some of the decisions that are made in Hollywood today really bother me. They really do. It's like they've lost focus on the creative mind. Then you've got a movie like Obsession, which is, you know, kicking ass in theaters by a couple of independent guys, YouTubers, right? Who I have been following for a while. So they're very funny. I think they've got a really good pattern and technique on timing, for comedic timing. So I'm sure this film was gonna do well when I heard about it. I only heard, actually, let me take that back and be specific. I only heard about the film after it started just crushing at the box office. And then you're looking at these tentpole films that are, you know, $150 million to make, and this guy does it for a few $1 million, and he's crushing it. It's because the story. I think Hollywood thinks we're stupid, and we'll be just dazzled by lights and effects and all the cool things that we can do with visual effects. I mean, Jurassic Park was the moment in time that the world changed. I mean, Jurassic Park, I saw that movie 5 times in the theater. And so that movie set the stage. He didn't overplay his hand when it came to the visual effects or the 3D animations. He played it very clean and clear. But subsequent films, once that Pandora's box was open, everybody wanted to have it in there. Everybody needed it in every scene. They wanted to just smash your brain with all the 3D visual effects that they could do, and it just became, what the fuck? Like, the reason why Nolan is so successful is because he uses practical effects. Most everything he does is practical. In other words, if he's going to have a plane lose its wings and be captured by another plane and dangled by a rope, by chains or cables, he used miniatures, and he recreated that scene in miniatures, which is practical. It's a practical visual effect. So that's just one example of many, thousands probably, that integration is taking place instead of just throwing 3D animated slop up there. It's very unfortunate, but that's where we live. I think you can get away with using minimal visual effects and really have a successful film if you focus on the story, the pacing, the delivery, of course, editing, the music, the score, and a lot of it. Sound design. I saw a trailer yesterday and the film looked okay, but the sound design sucked so bad that I won't go see it. I wouldn't go see it even if it was like one of those things that Spielberg had done. But of course, he understands sound design. Some of these guys, it's like an afterthought. Mixing is important. So anyway, all of these things to say, Maverick, I think, will go down in history as one of the best films ever made. Maybe that should be my opener. I'm going to talk about why Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, will probably go down as one of the best films ever made. Let's get to it! All right. I'm going to clap so I can capture that on my timeline. So Joseph Kosinski understands this very well. I think he's a very good director, Joseph Kosinski. He did Oblivion, he did Tron Legacy, and he did Top Gun Maverick, and then he did F1. And having that kind of creative mind behind some of these productions it's a treat for all of us. So I think has a very good understanding of what makes a great film. And so, that all being said, the pattern I'm seeing that I'm hoping will emerge, especially I think Corey Barker, with his YouTube channel, and then of course his film obsession, will set the tone for Netflix and Apple and all of these other production companies to really take a step backwards and stop looking at all of these visual products that they're just being greenlit to greenlight, fulfilling a slot. I hope they look back and say, let's look at the directors of some of these really great ideas and focus on the ideas. I just hope to see that. I really do. I've been working on something for a while now, and the filming of it would be very difficult, but it's grounded, and it's grounded in a reality that's very real, very visceral. And I'm hoping to make that a reality, but we'll see. So I decided to turn it into a graphic novel at least. I've already cut the trailer for it as an experiment. And so we'll see. I mean, who knows where things will go. And this is not about me. It's more about the industry. And I'm hoping that Hollywood listens. I'm hoping people listen and stop going to see this crap. Because we'll dictate what we go see, and what we don't go see will help dictate what is made. And I think if Hollywood sees a pattern, if production houses see patterns, sorry, it's very loud. If production houses start to see patterns, maybe they'll take a chance and start investing in some of these better storytellers, better stories, and lower cost productions that you can literally turn around into turnkey solutions as long as you're invested in the story. Storytelling's tricky. It's not easy. Not everybody can do it. That's a fact. Not everybody can take what's in your mind and make it and do a visual representation, recreation through acting and scenery and scoring and to tell the story you're trying to tell. It's not an easy job. It really isn't. There's a lot of people that are better at it than I am, but I think I'm pretty good at it. I think I've got a knack for it. I've had some levels of success with it. So I'm just saying, from my perspective, using obsession as a new case study for the financial part and the storytelling part, and using Maverick, if you're going to go tentpole, use Maverick as your baseline, F1 as your baseline. Look at these productions and say, okay, you've got all the right pieces in place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and check out, and I hope, this was, I don't know, man. It's hard just to be on your own having these conversations with yourself or talking to a camera on things that might not even interest people. It's a risk, but I'm going to take it. And I'm going to continue to take it because it's important. So with all that being said, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
you.